This video is supported by Rocket Railways for all your model railway needs. Please check the link in the description below.
Hello and welcome back to Galgormhall. Today we are going to be looking at DCC decoders and one decoder in particular. To give you the background, essentially I have bought a new logo for a project that will be coming up in future videos and I needed a decoder to install into it. Looking online, essentially this decoder didn't need to have too many functions to it, and looking online we have the likes of Gagemaster, Bachmann, those sort of decoders all on the marketplace, and they're all in around the £17 mark. But I had remembered watching one of David Jones's videos recently on the DCC Concepts black decoders, so I sent him a wee message just to ask him what it was like and why I should choose something like that over any of the other decoders on the market. So he has very generously sent me over a decoder and says, take a look at it for yourself, give it a review and let us know what you actually think. So here it is. So thank you very much, David Jones, for sending this over to me. Let's take a look. Isn't it great to have a logo that it's literally 2 screws and off comes the body shell? There are so many of them that require so much fiddling about just to get into them. Right, we have the blanking chip here, so we need to remove that first. Okay, blanking plate's off. Now the Zen V12 DCC Concepts decoder comes as a 21 pin decoder, but it does have an 8 pin converter so that you can downgrade it. Now this decoder in particular has 6 functions to it, and one of the things that intrigued me about it was the fact that it has, well, a couple of the things was this advanced ABC control, which I think enhances braking and starting up movements on your locomotive, but it also has stay alive control as well. Up until now, if you've needed to include, or you wanted a little bit of extra juice coming through your decoder, if you have dirty rails or it's going over a poor bit of point work, you've needed to install a stay alive capacitor to give it that little bit of juice, but seemingly this has a little bit of that in it. So let's have a look at the decoder. So everything is sitting there in place. Ah yes, and there's this is the 8 pin converter, and then we have the 21 pin decoder itself. So what do we do with this? That's a good question. I may have to consult the instructions just to see what comes next. Right, I've just had a read of the instructions, and one thing I've spotted straight away is my information regarding stay alive capacitors is completely wrong. What it actually is that they have the leads now permanently in place for attaching a stay alive capacitor to. What we actually need to do is, there is a socket at the rear of the 21 pin decoder, and we will put this white section of the 8 pin converter into it. So we will just loosen these wires slightly. The little pins are on the top, the little holes on the white section socket are on the top, so those should just push in there. I really hate doing these decoders are always incredibly fiddly, and there's a real fear that you will cause some damage. Am I putting this in the right way? Ah, there we go now. And just push it firmly in. And then it should just be a matter of placing our 8-pin decoder into our chip. The orange one marks the number 1, and number 1 is far right. So if we pop it down in, far enough in, there we go now. Right, we're in. It's time to take it over to the test track and we'll see if my controller will pick up this decoder. Have a look at programming this. Where are we at? Use programming track, standard. Manufacturer's been read, and the version of the decoder, so that's all good so far. Set up address, we don't want to set up, well, we'll leave it at 3. No, we don't want to do that. Now the long address, now I will be setting this up as 102, and we'll activate that address. We'll not configure anything for the time being. Set up motor control, not at the minute. Right, that is us. So we should be able to see whether our logo moves or not. And we have nothing. Now, that is more than likely going to be down to this locomotive rather than the decoder. If it read that, everything there should be fine. Unless there is something that I have not done. Okay, so it wasn't technically down to anything that I had done, nor was it an issue with the locomotive itself. All pickups and that were nice and clean. What I ended up having to do was take an 8-pin chip out of my HiMech and give it a test on the logo to make sure it worked, and it worked fine. So that left a question mark as to what was wrong with the DCC Concepts decoder. And David very kindly got me in touch with Richard from DCC Concepts, and I explained the issue with him, and within literally seconds he had the answer for me. Essentially, with me running the NCE power cab, the power cab has this sort of range, I think somewhere between the 100 mark and the 120 mark in terms of locomotive numbers, that is a little bit of a crossover from the short address and into the long address. So by me having activated the long address with the local running number of 102, it just wasn't reading it. What it wanted to do was to read it in the short address. So by reprogramming the decoder, activating the short address with the logo number 102 assigned to that address, I now have a fully operating locomotive. But before I demonstrate the DCC Concepts decoder, I wanted to show you what this 8-pin now, I'm not actually sure who the manufacturer of this is. It's either going to be it's probably going to be a Hatton's one, because it's one certainly I've purchased from them in the past, or possibly a Bachmann one itself. Right, let's see if hopefully you can see the control display there. If I start off increasing the power, you will see that we're going up through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we're just beginning to get the first bite of movement, and it's taken it to 9 before it actually has any sort of motive power going with it. Now if I take this off and we replace it with the DCC Concepts one. Okay, so we have the DCC Concepts decoder placed back into the locomotive, and again with our speed steps we're just going to work up slowly through them. Oh, do you know what I need to do? I need to change the logo number because I was actually running the other decoder is set up for the HiMech. So if I enter the loco number 102 and we go up through the speed steps 1. I mean, that's just incredible. Who would have thought that the operation of 2 different decoders, well, maybe you would know. I mean, this is all double Dutch to me in essence, but that is incredibly smooth running at low or speed step 1 on the power cab against that other decoder which took to speed step 9 before it sort of was jittery moving away. I think that's incredible. Now in terms of a price bracket for the DCC Concepts, the Zen 21 black decoder retails at £26.95, £27 let's say. Now you will be able to pick decoders up for £15, £20 for a Zemo maybe, for an 8-pin decoder. I think, to be honest, this is probably worth the additional £7, £8, £9 that you're going to pay over some of those other decoders. In purely the operating, that slow movement operation of the decoder, that just sells it for me straight away. In addition to that, this is a 21-pin decoder that is also set up with its own harness to convert to 8-pin. So in the case of this class 20 logo that I have here, should I sell it on, say for argument's sake, and take the decoder out, and my next purchase is a 21-pin one, well, I don't have to lose out on the fact that I don't have that 8-pin decoder anymore. There are a massive amount of functions. Take the booklet that you also receive with the DCC Concepts decoder. It gives you excellent information, particularly for, do I describe myself as a Luddite? Quite possibly. I don't understand all of this DCC stuff, but to have as much information rammed into this little booklet, and then also to have a whole chart full of CV settings, again something that I don't have an awful lot of knowledge on, but to be able to refer to that little booklet to maybe alter a speed setting within your chip, or to alter the dimming of the lights on your cab, any of those number of things. And then also you have the wiring set up already in place, that if you wished to add a stay alive capacitor to it, it's there. It's fantastic. It really is. Well, hopefully you've got some sound information from this video. I'm just trying to convey it as best that I possibly can with the limited knowledge that I have. If you're in the market for a new decoder, I would certainly be giving DCC Concepts a serious consideration. Look guys, thanks very much for watching. As always, if you've liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. And if you've anything you want to say about this video or anything else, stick it in the comments below, and I'll catch you again on the next video. All the best now. by